Feel so far from you.
Pry me open.
The story begins with a view of a remote area of America that was once deserted. But along with the arrival of investors, the city began to develop rapidly. Maddie, a woman, came out of her house after hearing the sound of a tow truck. It turned out that Maddie was in arrears on home tax bills, so that her property was confiscated. Gary's ex-girlfriend happens to be in charge of towing the car. Maddie tries to seduce Gary by saying that she still loves him. But unexpectedly, a man came out of Maddie's house without clothes. Gary realizes that Maddie has not changed and still likes to change partners, and he still decides to tow the car. Having no other vehicle, Maddie is forced to use roller skates to go to work. On the way, he saw his car parked. Gary was looking for a drink. Maddie takes her car and runs away from Gary. But he forgot to release the rope so that the car's rear tire was still lifted. Fortunately, there was a friend who worked as a lawyer who helped solve the problem, but warned that if you act again, then the vehicle card will be revoked. Maddie works on the beach with Sarah's husband Jimmy. Maddie told me about her tax arrears. And Sarah tells Maddie about an interesting job opening. A wealthy family needs a young woman to pretend to be their son's girlfriend. If successful, he will get an expensive classic car in return. The next day, Maddie uses roller skates to go to the family's house. Married couple Allison and Lurd Versilaken to enter. But when discussing the age of 32 years, the family became doubtful. Maddie explains that a 20-year-old may not be reliable in this job, while she herself is experienced and confident that she can change the point of view of their child. Lurd explained that their son Versi is very introverted and tends to be shy and often spends time playing games in the room. Although Versi has musical skills, her shy nature discourages her from appearing in public. Maddie then asks if Versi should relinquish her bachelor status. Allison's family said yes. They hope that Versi will no longer be afraid of the opposite sex. But they ask Maddie to keep this plan a secret and make it look like it's true. The next day, Maddie comes to Versi's workplace looking as attractive as possible. Versi is impressed by Maddie's beauty, and Maddie pretends to want to adopt a dog. Versi introduces her dog named Milo. But before Maddie could adopt him, Versi asked a few questions in another room. Maddie tried to sit close to Versi, but the less high bench made Versi start to feel surprised by Maddie's behavior. Maddie didn't take Versi's questions seriously, so Versi decided not to give her adoption permission. Versi then asked permission to go home early to his friend named Kripson. Maddie took the initiative to bring Versi home together, and for that Maddie borrowed a jeep. Although Versi initially refused to take Maddie home to transport Versi's bike, Versi was finally forced to come with her. On the way, Maddie talks to Versi jokingly that they are on child exclusion. Versi panics, especially when they pass a path that does not lead to her house. Trying to ask for help through a fixed message, her phone was seized by Maddie. When Versi is done bringing her home, she unexpectedly sprays pepper into Maddie's face. Made her hysterical because of her sore eyes. However, Versi realizes that Maddie did not actually kidnap her, and as an apology, Versi invites Maddie to meet again later that night. In the evening, Maddie waited for Versi's arrival. Versi comes in a jazz suit but wears cute shorts. When the waiter asked for the order, Versi ordered milk soda. But Maddie forces Versi to order an alcoholic drink. As a result of unusual, Versi even spit out the drink. Moments later, Maddie's ex-boyfriend Travis shows her the wedding ring in front of Maddie. Maddie's past never left her. Travis gives Versi a warning to be careful with the woman in front of him, saying Maddie is a naughty woman who likes to go without saying goodbye. After Travis left, the atmosphere became awkward. Maddie invites Versi to a quieter beachfront. There, Maddie forces Versi to accompany her swimming in the sea. But Versi refused because it was late at night. Maddie starts the action by undressing and swimming in the sea. Seeing the sight, Versi could not resist and went swimming. A few moments later, 3 drunk young men came and made a scene by taking Maddie and Versi's clothes. Despite Versi's warning, they scoff and leave the beach. Maddie did not stand still and beat them one by one until they ran away. Maddie returns to the sea and invites Versi to play futsal in the water. But Versi refused because she did not know Maddie. Maddie was angry at the excuse and rushed back to the car. Because Versi's cell phone was still in the car, she climbed forward and asked Maddie to let her in. Maddie stepped on the gas, while Versi stayed ahead. Things get even more complicated when they break the speed limit and are chased by the police. Fearing that his license would be revoked, Maddie drove his car as fast as possible towards the railway crossing. Impressed with the action, Versi finally agreed, invited to hide in the house Maddie. Here Meaty tries to tease Versi with her dance, but when the action between the two heats up, Versi's back even itches. Upon examination, it turned out that Versi had a skin rash. Futsal playing activities that night was cancelled because Meaty must treat Versi. They talked about their own trauma. Meaty's father never came home because he was married again and never replied to his letters. Meaty survived in a house that was almost evicted while waiting for her father's return. Meanwhile, Versi had experienced bullying from her classmates, so she finally decided to be quiet. The moment makes the two more familiar, and Versi invites Meaty to date again tomorrow. The next day on the beach, they exclaim with Milo and the other dogs. Then continue the day by playing basketball and shooting. The two were eventually evicted from the mall. For cheating, Versi gives Maddie a gift of a drink cap, which makes her happy. The success of this date makes Versi fall in love with Maddie, and she enthusiastically asks her out again tomorrow. In the next afternoon, when they met with Jody nanny Versi as a child, Jody threatens to act if Maddie hurts Versi. But Maddie firmly states that Versi is no longer Jody's business, because Versi is no longer a child. The next morning, someone comes to bid Maddie's house a high price. Despite the tempting offer, Maddie remains determined to defend her late mother's legacy and evict the man. In the evening, Maddie and Versi continue their date. They exchange flowers and engage in romantic conversation. When Maddie wanted a photo to capture the moment, Versi revealed that she deliberately did not have a mobile phone in order to fully focus on chatting with Maddie. At dinner, Maddie forces a way to play the piano, although the shy Versi initially rejects Maddie's threats that Versi is her best girlfriend. Make Versi finally, according to the results, and piano playing and singing Versi amaze all guests, until they applaud. Maddie was impressed and amazed by Versi's extraordinary talent that was able to amaze people with her appearance. Not yet back sitting, a friend named Natalie came to give praise for his performance. Natalie takes Versi to a party that night and seems to ignore Maddie's presence going with her. After Natalie leaves, they return together and convey their plans to regularly meet with Maddie on vacation after college. But Maddie firmly rejected the idea, which made confusion and a little disappointment. Without much explanation, Versi leaves Maddie, who then follows her into the car. Maddie tries to explain that she just wants to keep their relationship realistic, but Versi ignores her and even grabs a bottle of wine before going to the party Natalie has mentioned. After waiting a few minutes, Maddie decides to get into the party and look for Versi. But he is confronted by several teenagers who doubt his age suitability for the party. Maddie finally finds Versi and Natalie alone in the room. Quickly log in and stop their activities. Luckily, Versi was only heavily intoxicated and unable to move freely. A little later, the parents of the owner of the show decided to evict Maddie. Maddie intends to help Versi, who is in a drunken state. Versi accidentally punches Maddie in the neck, causing Maddie to feel embarrassed and decides to go home with her. The situation worsened the atmosphere at the party. While on the way, Versi expressed his readiness to play futsal with Maddie. At that time, Versi also expressed her love feelings. Maddie panicked, decided to stop the activity, and went straight home. The next day at breakfast, Versi tells her parents that she already has a boyfriend, Maddie. Although her parents were not surprised that the relationship was planned in advance. Versi surprises them with the decision not to pursue college on the grounds that Maddie cannot travel far. The upset father insists that Versi should stay in college. But Versi defended the decision, claiming that she was an adult and asked her parents to respect her choice. To settle the dispute, the mother asks Versi to wait outside while they contact Maddie. In a conversation with Maddie, Versi's parents realize that Versi is in real love with Maddie. He didn't go to college because he wanted to live with her. Versi's father explains to Maddie that Versi should stay in college and proposes that Maddie arrange a stratagem so that Versi does not feel burdened. This was done so that the promised car would still be able to be given to Maddie. Versi overhears the entire conversation through a phone line connected to her father's car. His heart breaks after realizing that his closeness with Maddie all the time was just a fabrication. While having lunch together, Maddie suddenly came to Versi's family home after being invited unexpectedly. The atmosphere at the dining table became tense after Versi decided to discuss everything openly. But before that, Versi's cell phone rang, forcing him to leave them for a moment. Cripson waits outside, and Versi drives Maddie's gift car into the woods. He damaged the gift car for Maddie in an expressive way, expressing his disappointment until the roof of the car was damaged by being hit by a tree. After the incident, Versi returns to Maddie and asks him to be honest about his true motives in approaching her. But here Maddie tried to distract with an invitation to play futsal. And Versi also Menjiak an invitation. However, the game ended short when Versi vomited first, before the ball goes into Maddie's goal. In the end, Versi decides to be honest and admits that she ruined the gift car for Maddie. Maddie realized that Versi already knew everything in that conversation. Maddie apologizes, revealing that all of her actions were done to defend her home and earn Versi money, while stating her views convey that Maddie should not continue to be trapped in the neighborhood and waiting for his father to come home to apologize. I would suggest looking for more progress out there. After an important meeting with her parents, Versi resolutely asks for freedom and shows that she has grown up and is able to take care of herself. Versi's parents agreed with her decision, and Versi back in his early activities before getting to know Maddie. Meanwhile, Maddie works to raise money and even redraws a taxi online, although the roof of the car is broken. A few months later, Maddie managed to reach the savings target to pay off her debts. While celebrating her success with Sarah and Jimmy, Maddie gets the news that the couple will move to Florida after their child is born, due to high housing prices in the area. Sarah suggests that Maddie also look for happiness elsewhere given the situation in the area. The next morning, Maddie looks for Versi in various places, and Allison tells her that Versi is going to college to take care of the files. Maddie goes there to see Versi, but Versi, who is still upset, continues to avoid her. Versi gets into Maddie's car, rides in front and states that their friendship is real. But Versi did not listen and continued to drive the car all the way to the beach. Their behavior astonished people, and they ended up getting burned after hitting the grill. Versi immediately rescues Maddie, and this is where Maddie apologizes for hurting Versi's feelings. They hugged and enjoyed the afternoon. Maddie declares her intention to sell her house and go to California, while Versi went to college as her father wanted. And they made a promise to remain friends forever. And the movie ends.